Anyway, Glenos guy made a video. It's been a while. It's good to hear his voice again. Missed him and such. It's been very good to me, as the joke goes. Anyway, yeah, no, but, you know, it's a very intelligent video. You know, I had to try that. Make an intelligent video. Anyway, but yeah, maybe I'll do that when somebody makes an, I don't know. Maybe I'll do that someday. Eventually, I'll get to it or something. So, various subjects again. I guess I'll go over some of these comments. This guy did want to mention, Toki Tenge. Anyway, why wouldn't you comment on some real physicists? I have. In terms of making videos. For example, Brian Greene, Lawrence Krauss, Sean Carroll, and others. They're all idiots. But anyway, the first link he left was to a video where you can't leave comments. Yeah, so obviously I have to find videos where I can leave comments and, you know, see if I can provoke some sort of somebody, you know, with some sort of physics knowledge to rebut me properly, to put me in my place with some sort of facts, you know, which hasn't happened yet. So, but I did go to that, the first link, and it's, just one of those, I've done it before, this one show thing, they call it like the World Science Fair or something, whatever the hell but it's just terrible. I mean, it has an introduction with the two-slit experiment. I'll just show it again, how compulsively they lie. You know, I mean, it's just so bad. But anyway, so, coming soon to a theater near you. Is this the updated page? Well, not much happening, buddy. Anyway, so I think I'll do this other thing first, and I'll come back to Indifferent Sky, and this blue horse guy is an asshole. But anyway, for now, we will, Feta. Oh, yeah, remember old Feta? Let's see, which one of these is the video? Degrees of Freedom, Taboo, and Cannibalism. No, that ain't it. This is the one. Here we go. So this is some sort of response video to Anticontavad, and I didn't get the whole first half. It was about some sort of, I like foreign people. They're all foreign and such. Whatever. I don't get the whole point of it. But anyway, you know, Anticontavad always does this, like, steal from the movies thing, and then I guess Feta was doing that too, in terms of using Orwellian themes or something. Yeah, Tell Two Cities. Those Dickens. Whatever, 1984. Which, you know, frankly, you know, reading as a kid, yeah, it's kind of spooky. But later in life, the story doesn't make much sense. But anyway, either does The Matrix, which this guy's using, which is just totally, you know, he's just perverting it. It just pisses me off because he's just basically not telling the truth, you know, about the story, and, you know, it's just not, it's not a fair description of the story. So anyway, this Feta thing here, he gets on the subject of cannibalism, and I just, the way he was leading into it, I was just like, oh man, no, this has nothing to do with reality.
It's an interesting subject. Why don't we cannibalize? Kind of in response to Andy, I think he puts too much into culture. I personally think that cannibalism is something counterintuitive to us because it's evolutionarily ingrained in our brains. There is no interest, evolutionarily speaking, for our species to cannibalize each other.
Well, I just think that's silly anyway. I mean, any organism probably gets some benefit from not allowing perfectly edible stuff to go bad, you know, or not gain benefit from it. Salmon, for example, you know, I use them as examples a lot, but I mean, the fact is they go upstream, they spawn, they die, and they rot. And the whole idea is for their nutrient to feed their babies, essentially. There's been some, I mean, I think urban legend talk, I've never actually seen this take place, where praying mantises, the female will kill the male and leave him. Supposedly for the young, but it doesn't really make much sense. Never seen it happen. The male would have to, his body would have to survive the entire winter. The whole thing doesn't make much sense. So, yeah, I don't buy that one. But anyway, continue.
Even if the other person is dead, we developed a non-taste for human flesh, an actual aversion to it.
Silly. I mean, we don't like any kind of raw flesh. So yeah, if I'm walking down the street and there's a dead pig sitting there, I'm not gonna eat it. If there's a dead chicken, I'm not gonna pick it up. Oh, yummy, yummy, dead chicken. We don't eat flesh. So naturally. So there's a natural aversion. If I gave anybody, most people won't eat raw meat. If I give them a hunk of steak raw, they're not going to eat it. They're going to find it repulsive. I just take a roast beef and put it in their hand and say, chow down. They're not going to chow down. You have to pickle it and call it steak tartare or something before they'll eat it raw. You have to do something to it. Lemon juice for the fish thing even. And fish isn't even, that one's a lot, that one's easier, let's just say it that way. So, I mean, there's no aversion to human flesh. If I made human flesh like chicken wings from McDonald's, people would eat it. Right now, if I took humans and ground them up and made Spam 50% human, nobody would know the difference. They'd say, hey, they've improved Spam. They'd probably say it's better. They would. Any kind of that loaf crap. TV dinners, right? The famous meat product that you get in a TV dinner or something. I could probably make that 70 or 80% human. You'd never know the difference. It's one of these typical meat products. So there's no natural aversion to eating human flesh by comparison to any other kind of flesh. Elephant flesh, mongoose flesh. It doesn't matter. We don't eat flesh unless you cook it and process it and turn it into something not necessarily fleshy. Correct? So go ahead, change the rules, barbecue human, okay, and then see if people eat it. Go to the store with some barbecued human and just don't call it human and see if they will chow down on it. And I'm sure they will, and they'll go, oh, that's like porky chicken.
Same reason that we developed an aversion for eating shit or drinking piss.
Well, that's silly. Those are obvious waste products. Why would you eat what is obviously a waste product? That wouldn't make any sense. You've already processed it. Your body's basically eliminating the part it doesn't think it can get any value out of. Eating it again wouldn't make much sense for humans, right? Now, if humans were rabbits or deer, they might make some sense in that the whole idea is to, process this stuff forever. That's why deers have multiple stomachs, and that's why rabbits will eat their poo, is because, maybe 2 or 3 times through, and I'll get the value out of this stuff. But that's not true for humans. Humans have short digestive tract for this purpose. Or long, sorry. It's long for that very reason. It's because it's processing carbohydrates and bibble babble like that. So it spreads it out, grabs the good stuff, and then poos it. Doesn't sit there and hold on to it forever. Unless you're me, of course.
These are things that are not advantageous to us, and you can.
Well, again, see, you can compare human flesh to poo, but that, I think it's just silly. So I think it would be totally advantageous to us to eat our dead, like salmon, or the many other examples of economizing. But the truth is, there's not value in it. Most of the dead aren't going to be dead for a good reason. They're going to be dead because they're diseased or got some other shit. So unless you really do process them, cook the fuck out of them, this would not be a great idea. But the truth is, they have all the minerals and the elements. I mean, it's an ideal human food when you think about it, eating humans, because it already has the same exact chemical compounds that you have, that your body needs. So it's like the perfect vitamin pill. So it sort of would make some sense to have some human in your diet. Yeah. I mean, really, if they make it, look, there's no real argument, right? If they make it as tasty as a potato chip, or whatever, a Dorito, you're going to tell me, oh, I can't eat that, it's human. No, you're going to just say, it does smell good. It's just going to, eventually you're going to get over any kind of, oh, scary, scary. There's not going to be any scary, scary. Once your appetite is stimulated by a pleasant aroma, you will not find the process of eating it difficult at all.
Won't be a situation in which it would be, but that would be the exception to the rule. It's simply an evolutionary.
Wrong. It's just not. I mean, you can say we have an evolutionary problem with flesh in general just because, yeah, the disease parasites that are likely to be in raw flesh are likely to kill you, even the animal ones. All kinds of worms and different things in their tissue. Pigs, for example, trichinosis, all kinds of different, diseases. So obviously we don't eat raw flesh. But again, the argument is there a difference between barbecued chicken wings and deep fried, human butt? No.
Trait, if you will, do not like human flesh and
Any animal product. True. Yes, natural animal product is not something we will eat. Processed animal product is something humans will eat. I don't think they should be eating either one, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, we do eat processed animal flesh. And there's absolutely no reason to think human flesh wouldn't be on that list if it was natural, okay, that we all got cooked after we died. You just happened to cook. It just happened instead of rot. I mean, we understand, like, say you can dry some stuff, like, beef jerky or something. But that's after you've processed it. Again, you have to remove the flesh from the guts. You have to take it away from the maggots. All that kind of thing. So, and you have to salt it or whatever you have to do to preserve it. So we know that that's a different process. Again, it's more natural than overt barbecuing, but it's still not nearly natural. But let's just say it was natural, that you automatically turned into a baked potato. You automatically turned into something that smells yummy after you died. I'm sure humans would be eating each other.
certainly you can find with some cultures, some people, even I think you said your ancestors did. You can know.
Yeah, well, he tells all kinds of stories about things, and so, yeah, the Celts or something, or whatever, the skirt wearers in battle, right? There's a whole bunch of dead people. They're losing a battle, but apparently there's not enough dead people to eat the dead people, so they want to just kill some more people so they can eat them, because they don't want to give up and say, we lose the battle. And they apparently can't find no other stuff to eat. You hear these stories, but I mean, how many Japanese ate how many Chinese? Let's get real.
Always find some people that are the exception to the rule, but I think it's evolutionarily ingrained in us not to like certain patterns that go against our evolutionary interest, right?
Yeah, well, again, it just doesn't have anything to do with that. There's lots of organisms where the young eat the old. A lot of fish, but it's an ocean thing mostly. But I'm sure there's examples of it, on the terrestrial plane also. It's just that it's less likely just because there's just so many active ways for the thing to spoil. And you're not swimming in your food supply. You know, the food supply can't get particulated and then float in the air, where in the ocean that can happen. So there's a certain advantage to your, you know, to everybody. Like I said, there's a certain fish, they all swarm to the beach on the same moonlit night and lay all their eggs, and then they all die. And again, it's another the same scenario. All these fish get buried with the eggs, and they rot and decompose. And so when the little fishlets hatch, the very same time there's another high tide, it loosens all the nutrients, and the little baby fish have a ton of food to eat. Yeah, it's kind of hard to duplicate that circumstance on the terrestrial plane, but I'm sure there's examples.
That's a species. And lastly, I wanted to throw this. This is, in my opinion, the most important subject we can discuss at the moment, which relates in a way to the whole.
I haven't seen this, so we'll just see where he's going real quick, and then we'll get out of here.
You know, terrorism phenomena.
Oh, terrorism.
Freedom of speech, right? You get the people who say you don't have the freedom of speech as long as you are offensive.
Well, no, and threatening, okay? So, yeah, you don't have freedom of speech in the terms of you can't prognosticate about the violations of law you're going to commit without being arrested for prognosticating about how you're going to kill somebody and eat their eyeballs. That's another thing where this whole thing comes up, is that, you know, like in battle or something, or war, I could see myself, you know, taking a bite, you know, maybe poking an eyeball or two out and giving it a good chomp as a victory celebration. I mean, it makes sense to me, sort of. I mean, to, you know, totally own the vanquished. You know, to just say, you motherfucker, you shot bullets at me, you cunt. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, it's just kind of a fuck you statement. So, yeah, I could see myself doing that. Anyway. Fucking idiots. So let's see if this is where he's on the Neo Matrix thing, this guy.
You know, it's sort of like the Asatoma mantra, Asatoma Sadgamaya from the Unreal.
Oh, fuck that. Well, let's see.
Show me the real. From darkness, lead me to light. From death, lead me to life.
Whatever.
And the interesting thing of that is it makes no promises that this is going to be nice.
So he's making this argument that somehow Neo chose to get out of the Matrix, and it's not really, Morpheus didn't really tell him the truth, right? So he could have just told him the truth. Look, here's the deal, okay? We had a big nuclear war with a bunch of fucking robots for some reason who got pissed off because somehow they had an interest in living, which who the fuck knows what that could possibly be since they didn't feel anything. But whatever, a couple of them must have had sentient programs. They got all paranoid, so they made a bunch of slave robots to go attack us, and we blew up the world so we could starve them to death. Or something like that, and then they decided to turn us into batteries, even though it makes no motherfucking sense at all. And then, here's the big catch, right? Even though they vanquished us and totally owned our asses, they were gracious enough, okay, instead of eating our eyeballs, they gave us Utopia program. And we said, fuck you. That's right, I don't want to fuck Sharon Stone on Island Perfect in the Pacific for the rest of eternity. No, I reject the program, I reject it. Yeah, so that's the plot of this idiotic movie, is that somehow we wouldn't accept a world where everybody's a millionaire, and everybody has a yacht, and everybody has chicks in bikinis, and everybody has all this shit. No, somehow we want to live in Gruel City, and we want to have to go to work. I mean, let's understand, in the Matrix, Neil's real life sucked, right? Lived in shabby little apartment, no chick, little twin bed he was sleeping in. Staring at his 1964 computer. I mean, fuck. Not exactly a wonderful life, right? So yeah, somebody suggests, you know, and he's, you know, making a little extra money that apparently doesn't spend on anything because, you know, there's nothing to buy, apparently, in Gruel City. I'm just saying, he has nothing. So, oh yeah, I'll trade in my nothing yeah, for something nothinger. And then what does he do when he finds out the truth? He throws up. So I don't think he was doing this. Well, it's all so funny. Let's all live because, like, oh, it's horrible, but it's fun. No, he wasn't doing that. He threw up. Got told the truth and he threw the fuck up. So yeah, he didn't think it was a good story. And then when he gets the real choice, which is, hey, you can save the human race, okay, and we'll just do this again. Let's do it all over again, right? Because this living thing is so much fun, and especially all this little Jedi stuff we're doing, right? Where, you know, you come and you're going to be the Messiah and you're going to save the day, but the catch is, no, you've already done it a few times and failed each time, fuckhead. But no, I'll let you save the human race and we'll let you have another little genetic population and you can play the game for 1,000 years again in the Matrix, blah, 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 and we'll battery you all and blah, 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 and all this bullshit. And do it all over again so you can fail again. Or you can risk it all for the entire annihilation of the human race. Because the robot guys figured out, hey, we could use pigs. We could use some other thing for batteries. We'll get by. Look how efficient we are. We're like the goddamn Empire in Star Wars, for fuck's sake. We can make 1 zillion little Squidward monster things. I mean, you could shoot them forever, and we'll never run out, right? Technically. So what do we need to worry about making no human batteries for? No biggie. Don't lie about movies. And what does Neo do, though? When he's given that choice, he says, oh yeah, better dead. Yeah, than back in either one of those worlds. The Matrix or reality. Fuck both of them. Fuck 400 miles in the ground shit city, okay, where everybody dances once a year or some kind of bullshit. I mean, even that was a lie, right? They pretend, oh look, we're all orgy-borgy, and every relationship you see has nothing to do with orgy-borgy. It has to do with, like, Morpheus is in love with her, and the other guy's in love with her too, and they hate each other, and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't have anything to do with sharing or any of this, like, free sex or free love. No, 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 no. And so what? Every once in a while, you know, they have a big party and all give each other herpes once a year? The whole thing is a fucking idiot. The movie's a piece of shit, okay, as a philosophical hunk of art. It's good in the sense that, oh yeah, it has karate and shit, and people fly and spin around and do all that Jedi shit, but that's it. That's what's appealing to people. I just hate this guy.
You just want to see things the way they are.
Yeah, and throw up. And then when he finds out, like I said, now he hadn't even found out the worst of the story yet, right? He was already sick and he only heard a tiny part of the bad news. Right? The real bad news is you've been lied to, because it isn't like 2,174. It's like really 7,968. And you've been fighting the same fight for 7,000 years and you keep losing each time, fuckhead. Everybody in the entire... Everybody in reality who knows the truth has been laughing its ass off at you for thousands of years because you keep losing, jackass.
And again, it's a little bit along the lines of the Matrix as well. You understand that what you're seeing now isn't real, and you want to see the real, and you understand that there may be a price to be paid. And in a sense, it's almost like you haven't...
Yeah, a catastrophic price to be paid, where you don't fly, you don't do any of this cool shit, you have shitty clothes, crappy relationships, you watch your best friend die. Yeah, it sucks. You don't get to perform any magic in the real world. It's only in the Matrix. You stick your hand in somebody's chest and pump their heart for them. Yeah. Yeah. Where you have little magical solutions to problems. Yeah, well, you're not going to do that in fucking reality. No magical solutions. No cavalry comes at the right time. The cavalry shows up 3 days too fucking goddamn late in reality.
You only have yourself to blame, right? Because you have chosen to see reality.
Nah, fuck you. Yeah, no. Well, you've chosen. You people aren't even coming close to seeing reality. You're living in your stupid ego delusion of I'm winning. I'm winning all the time. I'm winning every day. I'm a winner. I'm winning. Yes, I have anal hair on my head, but I'm winning. I'm sure of it. I'm pretty damn sure. I'm almost completely. Look, I have a chandelier with crap tied on it. Isn't that winning? A crookedy painting. Isn't that winning? The moldings on my door don't match the rest of the door. Isn't that winning? Huh?
For what it is, but to you, it's worth it. Why is it?
Yeah, again, so the whole conversation, again, if this was something to do with you and worth, then I'd say go ahead, have your little delusion. Who the fuck cares? But the real question is, we're drawing straws for other people. That's the game. You are consuming their welfare every day. Your whole modern life is built on the gruel eaters in the gulag. And it's a fact. It's a truth. You don't have what you have without taking it out of their hides. That's the reality. Out of the flesh of the animals, out of the hide of the slaved humans in the gulags. That's the reality. Out of the people in the mental institutions, out of the homeless, out of all the things that will not win. Those are the people paying the freight for your little, I won the lottery. I'm a happy human. Not on Prozac. You're still deranged and delusional.
Is it worth it to see reality for what it is? Well,
Anyway, I don't think you've ever done that in your fucking life, you creepy motherfucker. So enough of that. Moving on. Alright, this stupid fucking horsehead fucker. So his first comment was on this libertarian video, so I guess I'll get to that first. Yeah, but he's just so fucking wrong. Alright. You're way out of your depth of understanding here. Bitcoin is way more efficient in numerous ways. And also it's much empowering to the individual. But I'm not even going to bother. It will become obvious over the next few years. Just wait till Bitcoin is 30 or 40 years old. It'll just show itself to be so fucking profoundly interesting. No, it won't. It's a commodity, jackass. Like every commodity, it is manipulatable. Alright? The only way currency can work, it has to be self-destructive. It has to, every single year, get a little bit less valuable. If you allow it to get more valuable, then you'll create hoarding and manipulation. And then you'll all get gamed in the end by people who can afford to buy millions of bitcoins and then sell millions of bitcoins and then buy millions and then sell. You'll get gamed right out of your economy. So there has to be an incentive not to hold on to currency. See, currency can't be a commodity. It has to be exactly the opposite of a commodity, which means it's likely to go down in value, not go up in value. Very little up potential, real, minor, but real down potential. That way people don't hold on to cash. That means that your currency keeps moving through your economy because nobody wants the cold potato called cash. But if you allow your currency to be something that gets more valuable with time, like gold, having a gold standard, then you'll just get gamed by the Chinese or the Russians or somebody else. I mean, no one talks about it, but when we were on a gold standard, the economy crashed every 15 years. I mean, it didn't work. For fuck's sake, idiot. So anyway, so Bitcoin is exactly the opposite of something you want to create as a currency. Because it's a commodity, they make it scarce on purpose, and then as soon as that scarcity is too manipulatable. You need a currency that grows just enough so there's more of it, so it devalues just a tiny bit of it. All you need is a tiny bit of inflation. You just want it to degrade in value so nobody holds it as an investment. Currency as a commodity, currency fail. It's that simple. One rule. There's only one rule to rational currency. Have a currency that has very little up potential and a little bit of down potential, and then it will succeed. Obviously, you just can't print cash and all that kind of stuff, so I'm not suggesting you can just print as much as you want and all that kind of stuff, obviously, because that would destroy the value, and that's what the government has done, and necessitates eventual inflation. And although the inflation isn't happening today, it will happen because it's all behind the Hoover Dam, so to speak. If you look behind the Hoover Dam, there's not water anymore, there's inflation, and eventually it's all going to come pouring out as we'll all get devalued further by the rich owners. Alright, anyway, so here's Blue Horse again. I really reserved my opinion about inmendham after watching numerous of his videos, but really, inmendham is an asshole. First off, try to choose people's ability to live or have kids for them gives them the right to shoot you in the fucking head. Yeah, whatever. Fine, if that's the bargain. I don't mind having a civil war. I don't mind choosing a side. I don't mind killing the enemy under that circumstance. So, fine. Next off, you're discounting many facts about improvement through the future. No, I'm not. Why am I so finished? Just look at some empirical studies like Steven Pinker, who showed we are becoming less violent and things are actually improving. No. Consciousness is spending more time in a disabled and debilitated state than at any point in human history. We spend consciousness on average. The average moment of consciousness is more degraded than it's ever been in human history. We spend more time sick, debilitated, medicated, and senile than ever in history. Fact. More time tormented, suffering, recovering from diseases, experiencing physical unpleasantness than any point in human history. So in that sense, the quality of life is shit. The second sense is that now that we have a state, okay, yeah, quite obviously we don't have to intimidate people personally anymore. Okay, once you establish the existence of your mob, then you don't have to go out and show each person, oh, yeah, we're the mob, we're going to fuck you up, right? You get it? So once you have communication and these different things, then people already know they're fucked. They know the empire's coming. They know they can't fight Rome. They know they can't fight City Hall, so they acquiesce to the slavery. And that's what we have. We have massive amounts of slavery. So Steven Pinker's a motherfucking cunt for thinking somehow being a slave is better than being dead, which is idiotic. And we're only putting up with it because we know we don't have a choice. Because we, again, can know the outcome. When the white man first got to North America, the Indians couldn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know, they didn't have a crystal ball and see hell was coming. So they had to be taught that we were assholes. So we had to individually kill and scalp and do all this kind of crap right in their fucking faces because they didn't know they were doomed until much later on. And then they all kind of realized, oh, we're fucked, just give up. Go to the reservation, walk the trail of tears, we lose, we're done. And then they're slaves. And so, I mean, this whole Steven Pinker thing is just based on the fact that, yes, we don't have to, the state, okay, is a more efficient getting people to concede defeat than it was back in the old days when your gang had to prove itself, that it wasn't obvious you were going to win. Okay, people had reason to hope, so they fought. People don't have reason to hope, so they don't fight anymore. That's the difference. People have surrendered to their enslavement. That's the only difference. And one nuclear bomb goes off now, and and his whole theory goes right down the toilet. So again, it doesn't mean a goddamn thing. I mean, it has numbers alone. So, what if global warming kills 1 billion people? Because no one's going to finance the huge migrations that'll have to take place, and huge numbers of people will be displaced, no hospitals, no medical care, no anything, and nobody's going to finance all that shit. So if a billion people are killed through neglect, is killing a billion people through neglect going to be the same thing as killing them because you want to steal their land? I think it's the same thing. You create a slave economy, and then you'll walk away when it all goes bad and leave your slaves to eat grass. And that to me is the same thing as shooting them in the head. So fuck you, Blue Horse. Eat your own shit, as Feta would say. Something like that. Alright, now Indifferent Sky, who is inconsistently reasonable. Often. You changed mainstream, not midstream. No, I didn't. Okay, on the subject of consciousness. There's not a single thing I said wrong. You just don't listen very well. So one guy says he disagrees that it's an evolutionary necessity in your disagreement. And in your disagreement, you argue something different. I argue that there's no, I mean, I couldn't have made it as clear as I made it, right? I said there's no AI, there's no intelligence, there's no evolution of something called intelligence, all right, without sentience, without creating a value engine that can do this positive and negative reinforcement. So without positive and negative reinforcement, you can't learn from the environment. Everything has to be pre-programmed as a pre-programmed mechanism. And there's no brain space for that. That's the whole problem. If you had to store everything like a computer was going to do on the hard drive or something, you wouldn't have enough space. There'd be no place to put all the information needed if you had to have complete sentences already written and you couldn't fill in the words. If you couldn't use language and all you could use was sentences or paragraphs and you had to cut and paste, your computer couldn't function. There has to be compression, and that's kind of what our motivational mechanism is that it's a simple compression algorithm. The idea is basically, okay, consumption, reproduction. The mechanism is addiction. Alright, so you have that theme, and then you have it in this ego circumstance. So here you have a very simple, compressed prime directive. There's nothing now, there's no robotic behavior, there's just, this is the theme, get to the end, accomplish these things of consumption, reproduction, and your bloodline will continue. And you continue it by having this logic mechanism that learns from your environmental circumstances how to navigate the woods that you're in. So you spend a huge amount of time, human beings are the slowest maturing animal on earth, acquiring knowledge to how to navigate the world you're going to be playing in. That's what I said. If all you're evolving is assassin bugs, yeah, you probably aren't going to need, well, you still need it. I mean, insects are probably sentient, but learning isn't quite as critical. Without it, they could probably still function based on cruder reflexes. I mean, all they need is sort of the reflex where it moves the right way and you stick your, you know what I mean, you attack. You probably don't need to do a hell of a lot of learning. You argue something different. No, I don't. You talk about whether it has a function. Again, that was his argument, that somehow you don't need to be actually sentient. That means you don't have to actually have feelings to have the programming of a feeling. So you could have somehow the synthesis of feeling, the idea of a feeling, like an idea of good or bad, and you don't have to have the actual feeling. And what I'm arguing is, no, you can't possibly synthesize feeling value without making it real. If you don't make it real, the intelligence won't take it seriously. You really do have to scare it. You really do have to have some way to say, oh shit, I know what a feeling is. I've tasted it even if it just tastes it for one day. Even if the intelligence only knows sensation for one day, it has to know it for that one day. It has to know what it means when you say torture. It has to know what it means when you say, you know, preventing torture. Because otherwise, if you just say it as a something that's never been felt, it can't be understood. There's no possible way you could understand the word torture if you weren't sentient. You couldn't understand it. Just because something has a function does not mean it's a necessary. It's a necessity. Again, I'm arguing. I said it quite clearly in the video. Give me some example of how this intelligence would work that never had a feeling, and yet it's going to be motivated. It's going to give a shit. Oh, I might get tortured. Oh, dearie dear. Oh, dee. Better take you seriously, huh? Because you might torture me. Yeah, they're using that torture word again. I mean, just explain it to me. Explain to me how this intelligence could take the word seriously if it didn't have evidence. So I'm saying, you're saying it's intelligence. Intelligence is free. How can it possibly do that? And to, obviously, for evolution to pre-inject into our brain some notion that the word torture means something. Yeah, it always means something. You can't possibly negate its meaning. How could it do that? Again, how could it, what threat could it impose? I mean, you just can't do it. It can't be done. So yeah, I made the clear statement. You're not going to have intelligence evolve unless you create reward and punishment, because you have to reward good logic and punish bad logic. And that's the only way you can tell it exists. And that's the only way you can ever learn. So it won't work. You can't create a learning machine without creating something that's motivated. Alright, just because something has a function does not mean it's a necessity. Well, it is a necessity if you think intelligence is going to evolve on Earth. That's changing the subject. No, I didn't change the subject, you stupid fucking cunt. I hate this stupid accusation. I didn't do, there's nothing wrong with that fucking video, you dumb bitch. Maybe you ought to just fucking pull the bugs out of your ears and listen to it, because there's nothing wrong with it. I would take a page from your book and suggest it was an emerent eccentricity that benefits survival in some way. Yeah, well, isn't that the same difference? I mean, the fact that it's a byproduct, everything's a byproduct. Everything's an eccentricity in a sense, because there's absolutely no point in existing in the first place. It's not like a brilliant idea or something. Okay? It's just an evolutionary consequence that that's what's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, there's going to be survivors and non-survivors, period. And the survivors are going to appear like they're the winners, because the non-survivors aren't going to exist and be able to put up their hand and say, no, I think I won. But they might be the winners, obviously, because existing might not necessarily be a great thing if the only mechanism controlling the function of your existence is how much shit will you eat. All right, anyway. It certainly doesn't benefit us as far as feeling good, though. Well, again, that's irrelevant. Obviously, the mechanism doesn't care about the quality of your life, how much good feeling and bad feeling you have. It doesn't care if it actually tortured you to make you the winner. It would say, fine, torture them. All I care about is winner making. As you say, it's a byproduct. I see nothing in the argument that necessitates an evolutionary necessity. Well, again, it just depends on what you're calling evolution. If you're saying you can evolve learning intelligence without value creation as an experience, value detectors are intrinsically value makers. That's the trick. To detect value, you're essentially making value. Can't do it any other way. Just the rule of the game. Oh, God. Alright, not necessarily, yeah, because an animal could survive without consciousness. But it couldn't be intelligent, is the point. Things survive without that. These things also evolve. No, they don't. So I'm strictly speaking about the necessity to evolution. Otherwise, we're getting into Pyrrho land. Now, well, again, your critique is just wrong. If you listen to the video, there is no contradiction in the video. The argument is simply the function of intelligence is dependent on value synthesis, and value synthesis will only work if the synthesis becomes real. That's the argument. And I don't think you countered it anywhere with this fucking bullshit. Seems to me like he's talking about the animal consciousness in the video, and doesn't seem to me that he spoke about consciousness in regards to the necessity to evolve. Well, again, there is no evolution of intelligence, in my opinion, without value creation, motivation making. Without motivation, you will not have anything you'll call intelligent. You can make a slave, you can make a pre-programmed computer that mimics behavior, but it won't be something behaving. It won't learn, it will recite. It will acquire knowledge and spit it out, but it will not know it. It will not understand any of it. It will just spit it out as required by the audience. It'll tell the audience exactly what it wants to hear. It will have no true opinion. Okay. Oh, fuck you. Irritating. Yeah, there's old... You know, my attitudes are always... You know, people that you've known for over the time, you know what I'm saying? And there's tensions. Yes, he learned. I've learned through experience. Certain people just are too fucking irritating. So anyway, yeah, don't. The brains don't work too good. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Alright, so that's enough for the video. There's enough subjects in there, right? I believe there are. Yeah, okay. So, I'll probably make a physics video about, see, I mean, these people, they talk about the two-slit experiment. You know, look, I mean, you just look at like an image like this, and you say, oh yeah, that looks like that sort of looks like the pattern idea, doesn't it? Yeah, there's a pattern there, isn't there? Oh yeah, very similar pattern actually. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe that would be better than multiverses. Every time a field collapsed, 4 zillion universes were created. Yeah, right when the old photons, they actually believe this shit. Photons going through my eye, and it's actually in an amorphous space where it's all over the place. And the one space it hits, it'll hit a piece of an electron. An electron will cause a cascade, amplify the electron's influence, and the signal will be processed. Well, when that happens, all the other choices also happened, except now they're different universes. And that's happening in everybody's eyeball. Every day. Every second. Fuck you. I mean, you talk about living... I mean... You know, it's just so... The Matrix makes sense compared to this, right? I mean, the plot flaws in the Matrix are huge, but I mean, the plot flaws of creating multiverses in every single animal eyeball, every time a photon goes through a lens, or every time a photon encounters any kind of obstacle, and they're not really obstacles, they're all termination points, but that's the joke of this whole thing. Photons are diffracted, they are not bent. Just so irritating. But anyway, they always have a position and a direction. That's what they do. They go from point A to point B at the speed of light in a straight line. That's what photons do. Fucking idiots. Anyway, people are stupid.